We're going to talk about the most prominent sign of the second coming. And when you understand what this sign is, you'll be able to see it, the second coming, you'll be able to see it coming. Before we reveal what the sign is, I want to make three clear points. Number one, only Latter-day Saints have the Joseph Smith version of Matthew 24, and that makes a huge difference. Two, when I say second coming, I'm talking about the Lord's first appearance here in America or the coming of the bridegroom to his elect. And three, the rest of the world knows nothing about this appearance. And the vast majority of Latter-day Saints don't understand the sign that we're going to be talking about today. So let's go to Joseph Smith Matthew. We'll start with verse 32. And again shall the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet be fulfilled. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now, before we go further talking about abomination of desolation, let's look at an outline of what that first occurrence of abomination of desolation was. The abomination of desolation in the meridian of time was upon the Jews. When the armies of Rome laid siege against Jerusalem, it was an act of war, and so shall it be when it repeats. The siege occurred in 70 CE during the First Jewish-Roman War. Roman forces were led by General Titus, the future emperor. Jerusalem was a significant religious and political center for the Jews. The siege lasted several months, leading to severe famine and suffering. The Romans breached the city walls, leading to widespread destruction. The Second Temple was destroyed, making a pivotal moment in Jewish history. Now we go back to Joseph Smith Matthew and read about this first occurrence of the abomination of desolation. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet concerning the destruction of Jerusalem. Okay, now let's skip down to verse 18. For then in those days shall be great tribulation on the Jews and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, such as was not before sent upon Israel of God since the beginning of their kingdom until this time, no, nor ever shall be sent again upon Israel. This is not going to repeat on Israel, and it's not going to repeat on the Jews. So we go back to verse 32, and this is when it repeats. And again shall the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet be fulfilled. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So, how do we really define the abomination of desolation? I believe that Ezra Taft Benson gave us a great perspective on this in an October October 1961 General Conference talk. He said but on the other hand, if the Gentiles on this land reject the word of God and conspire to overthrow liberty and the Constitution, then their doom is fixed, and they shall be cut off from among my people who are of the covenant. So is it the Gentiles that the abominations shall be upon in the latter days? Ezra Taft Benson gives us some references here, and we'll get to that in a minute. The great destructive force which was to be turned loose on the earth, and which the prophets for centuries has been calling the abomination of desolation, is vividly described by those who saw it in vision. Ours is the first generation to realize how literally these prophecies can be fulfilled now that God, through science, has unlocked the secret to thermonuclear reaction. So when the abomination of desolation repeats, it's going to be warfare, but it's going to be warfare like the world hasn't really seen so much yet. Let's move on to DNC 84 and learn more about the abomination of desolation in these latter days. Nevertheless, let the bishop go into the city of New York and also to the city of Albany and also to the city of Boston, and warn the people of these cities with the sound of the gospel, with a loud voice, of the desolation and utter abolishment which await them if they reject these things. For if they do reject these things, the hour of their judgment is nigh, and their house shall be left unto them desolate. And verily I say unto you, the rest of my servants, go ye forth as your circumstances shall permit, in your several callings unto the great and notable cities and villages, reproving the world in righteousness of all their unrighteous and ungodly deeds, setting forth clearly and understandingly the desolation of abomination in the last days. So this quotation here doesn't leave much room for the abomination being upon the Jews again or anyone else. It will be upon the Gentiles. Now, if you want to understand what's really going on right now and understand the conflicts that are going on in the world from someone who will tell it to you straight, I would suggest that you go to Judging Freedom and listen to what Judge Napolitano has to say as he conducts interviews with many people who are on the inside of this situation and have a pretty good idea how close we are to a nuclear event. So I'm not going to say any more about that, except that I think you'll find it very enlightening. And then finally, if you want to know what Revelation 17 has to say about the abomination of desolation or the events that we've been talking about in this video today, well, I would suggest that you go to my YouTube channel. It's the Millennial Dawn channel, and watch this video about the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And in that, we'll explain who's who, what side they're on, who's going to be doing the attacking, and who's going to be the receiving in the abomination of desolation in these latter days. So I hope this has made sense. Hope you'll go to my channel and watch this video, and don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments if you would like me to expand upon those things. Thanks for watching.